How's it going, everybody? This is Derek J407 back to you once again. This time to give you my NXT Takeover 25 review live in Bridgeport, Connecticut, the 25th consecutive NXT Takeover event. Can't believe it's been 25, but we've had Takeover shows since 2014, and it's now 2019, and that span, we've seen Takeovers grow. I've never seen a bad Takeover show. Some are weaker than others, but I've never seen one that I would consider bad or poor or anything like that. Even the weakest cards at a Takeover show always deliver. And I'm not saying this was a weak card on this show, because it was not, but it was definitely a case where it delivered. I absolutely loved this show. Top to bottom, just excellent matches all throughout the entire night. The very first match of the night, the second, every match, the crowd was hot. There was no point where they were too down. Like, even if a match, the crowd was a little bit tired from the previous one, so they were down a little bit, whoever was in the ring was able to win the crowd back into it by the end, to the point where they're just going ape shit the entire night for every single match, culminating with a very satisfying finish of there being a new NXT champion crowned Adam Cole in the main event. Another tremendous main event match with Johnny Gargano for the second straight Takeover show, and this time it's Adam Cole who walks out as the champion. Of course, we'll get into that. Yeah, I can't praise this show enough, so let's just go ahead and start from the very beginning. Before we even get into the show, let's talk about the pre-show real quick. Nothing really happens on the pre-show other than, Charlie Caruso being there with Pat McAfee and Sam Roberts being a dumbass. But in this case, right at the end of the pre-show panel, they brought out Tommaso Ciampa, who of course got a huge ovation from the crowd, and they were hyped to see him. And this was significant because he announced that he it's been 12 weeks since his neck surgery, and he got a checkup from the doctor, and he was informed that he's been cleared for non-contact activity, which basically means he's free to resume working out and training and all that kind of stuff. He can't get physical or anything like that, but he's free to pretty much, work out and stuff, which means he is free to train for his in-ring return. He was told by several doctors in the past that he would not be able to compete for very much longer, but this dude is dead set determined to break that. I don't know how much of a career he has left, especially like main roster wise or anything like that. I think that window might have closed for him, but I do think he has a solid career left for him in NXT, and I do think once he's free to come back, Goldie will be right back around his waist. So I'm looking forward to the return of Tommaso Ciampa in the future. So let's go ahead and get into the main show. Before getting into any other matches, let's also talk about, I want to give props to the new NXT ring announcer, Alicia Taylor. Not only beautiful, but she was actually really good. I don't recall the name of the previous female ring announcer for NXT who's been doing the takeovers for the past year or so. She was okay, but Alicia Taylor was really good. I'm not, praising her Howard Finkel levels or anything like that, but she was really good. And for someone who's only been doing this for a very short period of time, she was very impressive all night. So with all that out the way, let's finally get into some action here. Talk about the very first match of the night. Roderick Strong, representing the Undisputed Era, taking on the King of Bros, Matt Riddle. This was an excellent wrestling match, just straight up wrestling for a majority of it. There was a lot of grappling between the two of them, especially on Riddle's part, like MMA takedowns and slams and all that kind of stuff. Great wrestling in here. Of course, Roderick Strong, king of the backbreakers, and he busted out plenty of backbreakers for Riddle to endure, which put Riddle's back in pretty critical condition throughout majority of the match, and he had to fight from underneath to get through this match with the constant attacks on his back by Roderick Strong. At one point, Matt Riddle hit a go to sleep, he hit a GTS, which got a pretty quick pop from the crowd, but the GTS immediately transitioned into him hitting strong with a German suplex. Went for the cover, but it was only good for a 2 count. There was one point in the match, which was probably the best part of the match, that Roddy had Riddle standing upright, but he had him in the ropes, and he just bouncing off the middle ropes. He just bounced back and forth, just colliding with an elbow strike right to Riddle's face, just back and forth. It was really cool. And then he just kind of picked him up and slammed him frontwards and went for the cover, but it was only good for a 2 count. He tried to, Matt Riddle that is, he tried to hit the diving bro, but he got it blocked with Roddy's knees. Roddy ended up blocking in the Boston Crab, and he got cinched in. I think he even turned it into the Lion Tamer for a quick second there, but Matt Riddle managed to get out of it, just started kicking Roddy in the face, just a bunch of boots to the face. He locked him in the bro mission and started raining down elbows on him. Roddy blocked one of them, but then both men stood up and Riddle just clobbered him with more and more elbows and then hit him with a very unique looking slam. I don't know what the name of it is, but he got him in position for like a tombstone pile driver. But then he kind of like put his arm under his leg and kind of tucked him and just slammed him right on the middle of the mat. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what the name of the move is, but it was powerful enough to give Matt Riddle the win. So a big win for Matt Riddle to start off this great show. And once again, an excellent match from Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle is the real deal, and I love the guy. I'm a big fan of him. I know he's not everyone's favorite cup of tea, but for me, the dude has so much potential for him, and I'm one of the people rooting for him to retire Brock Lesnar. So he's very impressive, and I see bright things not only in his future for NXT, but in WWE as a whole, if he's able to get past the old man. But yeah, another great match for Matt Riddle here on the Takeover show, and yeah, a great way to open the show. Up next, the match that I thought would open the show, but they decided to put it on second to kind of swerve us, I guess. It was the tag team ladder match for the vacant NXT Tag Team Championships. Of course, the War Viking Raiders machine, whatever the fuck they're called now. We haven't seen them on Raw in weeks, or the Raw Tag Team Champions. It's just so, but they have enough time to have an opening 30-minute segment with SmackDown guys like Dolph Ziggler and Kofi Kingston, like this past week's Monday Night Raw. Pathetic. But anyway, they were the tag team champions, and they got called up to the main roster, got the names changed to something stupid, and they had to vacate the tag team titles. So that left 4 teams vying for a chance to become the new tag team champions. And those teams were, of course, representatives of the Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, the Forgotten Sons, Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake, Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, and of course the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. It was a ladder match with 8 guys, 8 young, hungry guys who you knew were going to come out here and just absolutely kill each other. And that's what it was. It was hard to keep track and notes of the crazy shit that happened in this match because it was just insanity from the word go. Just a bunch of insanity all throughout this match. I'm gonna try to go through some of the things that happened in this match. Early on, Cutler and Blake, they had the ladder on their heads, doing the kind of whirly dervish kind of thing, and hitting people with the ladder while it was on their heads. And from behind came Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, who got each man their own person and hit them both with a German suplex while the ladder was still on their heads. So I thought that was pretty cool. At one point, O'Reilly and Bobby Fish were double teaming Montez Ford. Fish was holding Montez in a wheelbarrow position, and he got hit with Ford, that is, got hit with a code breaker from Kyle O'Reilly, and then while still holding him, Bobby Fish hit him with a wheelbarrow German suplex back onto a ladder that was propped up on the ropes behind him. So insanity. And speaking of Montez Ford, dude, He hit a frog splash in this match, which we see him do all the time, but I don't really get to talk about it because this is the first time the Street Profits made it onto a takeover card, so I didn't really get to talk about it all that much. Montez Ford has the best looking frog splash in wrestling today. It is amazing to see. I fucking love it. Dude gets great height on it, and he hit it in this match. He also hit a bunch of dives in this match and got great height. The dude, even outside of this tag team with Angelo Dawkins, the dude has a bright future ahead of him as a single star. At least I think. Kyle O'Reilly was getting punished multiple times in this match. Just a bunch of crazy moves onto him. At one point, there was a cut on his back. I'm not sure what happened to cause it, but yeah, it was a pretty nasty looking cut. And even the Forgotten Sons, who, is very cliche to say, oh, I forgot about them. They were in the match. They did a bunch of cool stuff too. Their other representative of their group, Jackson Riker, he came out. He cleared the ring of everyone, got met with a bunch of boos, got met with "We forgot you" chants, which I thought was funny. But eventually it led to everyone that Riker initially took out, all of them jumping him and beating him down with a ladder and everything and getting him out of the way, and the Forgotten Sons out of the way. Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, not a whole lot of craziness from these guys, especially Oney Lorcan. Not too much standout crazy moves from Oney Lorcan in this match, but they were still a presence. They at one point started to beat down on Bobby Fish, targeted his surgically repaired arm and shoulder, just beating him down with that. And then it built up to the two of them, Burch and Lorcan, and the Undisputed Era. All four guys were on two different ladders, all up by the championships, vying for it, battling it out, only for Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake to come in, knock the ladders over, and take them both down. And we see Blake climbing the ladder, and Cutler is holding up the ladder. He has the opening facing his torso area. He's holding the ladder for Blake to climb up and grab the titles. The fans are booing, and then out of nowhere comes Angelo Dawkins with a just brutal spear, just cutting Steve Cutler in half. And then we see up top on the ladder, Wesley Blake is grabbing for it, and then out of nowhere, from off screen, we see Montez Ford springboard from the top rope all the way onto the ladder. He knocks off Wesley Blake and climbs up and grabs down the titles. So the Street Profits, in their very first appearance on a takeover show, they finally, after so many opportunities to get to the titles and failing at every turn, they finally win the NXT Tag Team Titles. Couldn't be happier for them. They had a huge celebration. The cups were all in the crowd. Everyone was going apeshit for them. I have a lot of people who I follow on Twitter and who follow me who are huge Street Profits fans, who I know were just going crazy for them. I was very happy for them. I'm a big fan of the Street Profits, especially Montez Ford. Like I said, best frog splash in wrestling today. These guys were incredible. They're a lot of fun to watch. They're so much high energy. They remind me a lot of Kaz and Enzo in their original NXT days. And Kaz and Enzo never won the NXT Tag Team Titles and failed at every single chance to get to them. And I did not want to see the same thing happen to Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, and that has not happened. So very happy to see them win the Tag Team Titles on this show. A great, crazy ladder match with a great payoff with these two guys winning. So I couldn't be happier for them. Up next, we got the Velveteen Dream and Tyler Breeze, Prince Pretty himself, returning to NXT for a North American Championship match. This match was great. This came right after the ladder match, so of course, any match that come after that ladder match, almost any kind of ladder match, you worry that they won't be able to follow it. But these guys did a pretty good job. The crowd was a little low early on, but the match progressed and it built up, and the fans were really getting into it. And that's just a credit to these guys for being able to put on such a great match. Of all the matches on the show, to me, it might be the weakest. I Actually, you know what? I take that back. It was not. I don't even think I can really rank the matches on this show because there was really no one that I would call weak. There was just some that were great, just different levels of great. And this was just one of those. I can't even call it the weakest match in the show. I can't even say it was the match that I was the least interested in because I was really looking forward to this, especially for Tyler Breeze, who you've seen flounder on the main roster for so many years. And then he recently got brought back to NXT full-time, apparently, according to Triple H. So we'll be seeing more of Prince Pretty in NXT going forward. So I was really looking forward to this match, and they put on a great one. A lot of dueling moves. At one point, Breeze hit the supermodel kick on Dream, only good for a 2 count. Dream, a little bit later on after that, hit his Dream DT move on Breeze, and again, only good for a 2 count. At one point early on, Dream, he got, I don't know if it was his phone or a phone, I don't know what phone it was, but he got a phone and he was taking a selfie with the belt, and Tyler Breeze, who was laid out on the announce table, he was taking a selfie. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then he walked around still, posing for the crowd and all that kind of stuff. He had his back turned and he turned back around, saw Breeze was off the table. And then when he turned the other way, Breeze caught him with a super kick, right square to the face. So I thought that was pretty good. Both men hit unprettiers, or the kill switch, Christian's move. They both hit unprettiers, and both were not enough to keep the other down. At one point towards the end, Breeze hit the beauty shot, the spinning heel kick on Velveteen Dream, but Dream managed to roll out of the ring to avoid getting pinned. So the referee starts to count. Breeze is still out. Breeze goes after Dream on the outside, trying to pull him back in to get him back in the ring. He's dead weight, which you could tell he's just plain dead. But the referee was counting, and then Breeze broke the count, got back in the ring, was practically begging the referee to please stop counting, and all that kind of stuff. And then Dream, he had the championship belt in his hand, and it looked like he was going back in the ring to try to use it. But when he got back in, when he was on the ropes by the ring on the apron, Breeze managed to get the belt out of his hands. So he had it in his hands with the referee looking at him. The referee took the belt from him, had his back turned, and Dream ended up hitting the Dream Valley Driver, immediately going up top, hitting him with the Purple Rainmaker elbow, and got the win. So Velveteen Dream is still the NXT North American champion. Like I said, a really great match. You could tell the story here was that Breeze was just desperate to get a big win. Come back to NXT and try to hang with Dream and prove that Dream is just nothing but a knockoff of him and get his championship back. But it was not enough. And after the match, I thought it was really cool. Dream was kind of, posing and kind of, basking in his glory. He went to leave, and Breeze kind of pulled him back in and got him. The two of them are now face to face. Breeze pulls out his phone, and the two of them take a selfie together. So you see post matches where they do handshakes or fist bump or showing signs of respect. The sign of respect between these two in this case was a selfie. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I'd love to see these two tear it up again, just like I'd love to see Tyler Breeze tear it up with a bunch of different guys in NXT. So I look forward to seeing what else we see from Tyler Breeze going forward. They showed a vignette in between matches here for a new star, Damian Priest, who is the former Punishment Martinez in Ring of Honor. Very tall guy, very kind of lanky guy, but very tall, very talented. And he's been around in the business for many years. So it's cool to see him get the chance in NXT. So I'm anxious to see what they do with him. Up next, the NXT Women's Championship match. Shayna Baszler defending the championship against Io Shirai. The stars were pretty much aligned for Io to get the win here, with Shayna just running through everyone in her path in this women's division. She got rid of Kairi Sane, who's Io's best friend, and it looked like it was Io's time. More so, it looked like it was time for, and I still feel this way, time for Shayna Baszler to move on, finally lose, and move on to the main roster to feud with somebody like Becky Lynch. That's a feud that I'm very anxious to see, mainly because Becky ain't got shit going on right now. feuding with Lacey Evans is not enough to keep my interest in anything Becky Lynch related right now. So I'm still hoping that we can get Shayna Baszler called up to Raw to feud with Becky for the Raw title. So if we get it, it might be for a little while because Shayna Baszler is still the champion after this match. But these two put on a really good match. Shayna was just punishing Io, and her arm, she did the thing where, you stand the arm up and you stomp on it, and she was just punishing her, I believe it was her left arm throughout majority of the match. And it was not enough to keep Io down, because at one point Io was being hung by Shayna, by her arm, hung over the top turnbuckle, but she managed to knock off Shayna, and get her outside the ring, where she hit a moonsault from the top rope all the way out to the outside on Shayna Baszler. So I thought that was pretty cool. Eventually, Jessamyn Duke and Marina Shafir, they were walking towards the ring to provide some kind of distraction. But before they could get all the way to the ring, they got caught and stopped by a kendo stick shot from Candice LeRae, who going into the show promised to have Io's back. So she used a kendo stick on both women, just beat the holy hell out of them. She managed to get to the ring apron and dove off onto both women, so that took them out. Back in the ring, they're still squaring it up between Shayna and Io, a bunch of reversals and counters and all that kind of stuff, but eventually it led to Io going for the moonsault. Shayna moved out of the way, Io landed on her feet, but Shayna, that is, managed to lock her in the Karafuda clutch, but Io rolled through into a roll-up position similar to the way that Kairi Sane did at TakeOver Brooklyn last year and won the championship, but it was only good for a 2 count here. Eventually, Io got a cradle on, kind of like a backwards cradle on Shayna, but Shayna kind of kicked out of it and put her in position for the Karafuda clutch. It looked like Io was about to get out of it. The crowd was chanting her on to will her to get out of the move, but eventually she had no choice but to tap out, and that was it for Io Shirai and Shayna Baszler, still the NXT Women's Champion. But did not end there. As Shayna was posing and celebrating her win, Io comes from behind, hits her right in the gut with the kendo stick, and just starts wailing on her with the kendo stick. She goes up top, hits her with the moonsault, and Candice LeRae, who's on the outside, Io tells her to get a chair from underneath the ring. Candice kind of reluctantly gives it to her, and Io goes to the top, and with the chair on, holding the chair, she hits a moonsault onto Shayna. So hits the moonsault and drives the chair right into Shayna, and lays her out pretty much. And she leaves with Candice. The crowd's going crazy for her, and they shower Shayna with "You Deserve It" chants, which I thought was pretty clever, pretty humorous, I should say. But she's still left on her own power, and of course is still the champion. Now, I don't know where they go from here. I assume probably another match with Shayna and Io, or maybe Candice LeRae is brought in and we get a triple threat match at the next TakeOver show, which I believe is Toronto SummerSlam weekend. So I don't know, but I think this is clearly not over between Io Shirai and Shayna Baszler. So I look forward to seeing where this goes from here. They announced the next NXT UK TakeOver event, NXT UK TakeOver in Cardiff, Wales, and they announced it for 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on August 31st, which just so happens to be the same day as All Out, the sequel to the All In pay-per-view last year, now an official AEW show where we will crown the first ever AEW World Champion in a match between Hangman Adam Page and Chris Jericho. So on that same day, we have TakeOver UK during the day, and then that night we have All Out. So clearly was not a mistake. It was clearly intentional. But yeah, I look forward to that. I wonder which show is going to get the most attention by the end of that night. I wonder. And so finally we get to the main event. Adam Cole challenging Johnny Gargano in a straight-up singles match for the NXT Championship. Of course, their first match at the previous TakeOver show in New York was 2 out of 3 falls and was the best NXT Championship match of all time. So looking forward to the rematch here to seeing if it would hold up to the original match, and it pretty much did. It pretty much did. I think I liked the first match a little bit better, but this one was just a notch below it. This is Ciampa Gargano territory with these two matches back to back. Just like how all those matches that Ciampa and Gargano had were all great on some equal level, but all told a different story. This was the same thing here. So instead of trying to survive through 3 different falls, it was just one fall, and both men beat the holy hell at each other. Now, there were a lot of unbelievable counters and countouts in this in this match, I should say, based on different signature moves and finishers and all that kind of stuff. But I still loved it. At one point, Cole tried to dive off the top rope, and he got met with a super kick in midair. Take a shot every time I say super kick when describing a move that happened in this match. They weren't all super kicks. At one point, Cole hit a burning hammer on Johnny Gargano. But when he brought Gargano over, he gave him a knee right to the face. So it was basically like a reverse GTS, which is the move that what's his name? Dominic Dijakovic in NXT. I think that's his finishing move. Feast your eyes or something like that. But a little bit later, both men were on the outside. They hit each other with a double super kick. So both men went for the super kick and laid each other out. And then they just barely beat the count back in. But once they were both back in, Gargano was in this a little bit earlier and ended up hitting Cole with a slingshot DDT, which was only good for a 2 count. Gargano tried to hit a tope through the ropes, but got met with a super kick, of course. And Cole went to the up to the apron and then came off hitting the Panama Sunrise, which is basically a Canadian destroyer, right there on the outside. You would think that would finish off the match, but nope. They get back in the ring, and it was only good for a 2 count. So a little bit more left to go here. Both men did each other's finishing moves. Cole locked Gargano in the Gargano escape, which he managed to escape out of. And Gargano hit the last shot on Adam Cole. So I thought that was pretty cool. Both men hit a bunch of dueling super kicks on each other. Gargano got the last shot in with the reverse Hurricane Rana. And then Adam Cole, not completely down yet, hit his own last shot. His last shot, knee to the back of Gargano's head. Only good for a 2 count, though. And then we get some desperation here when Cole goes to get a chair. And the referee goes after him, so both men are on the outside, kind of playing tug-of-war with the chair. Back in the ring, Gargano dives through the ropes, but Cole pulls the referee in position to get the move. So the referee's knocked out. Cole tries to hit to use the chair, but Gargano manages to duck and hit a super kicking the chair right into Adam Cole's face. Cole tried to play mind games with him back in the ring. He was signaling towards the entranceway, a hand gesture trying to signal that the members of the Undisputed Era would come out. And Gargano, with the chair in hand, was ready for it, but he clearly was tricked. So he tried to get back in the ring. Cole hit a move on him. I'm not sure what it was, but he hit him with a move, and it was only good for a 2 count, though. But we get to the finish here, where Cole was attempting to hit a last shot, but Gargano just collapsed, and he was done for, pretty much. And Cole went to taunt him, but then Gargano was playing possum, and he immediately locked him in the Gargano escape. It looked like Cole was about to tap. He tried to reach the ropes, and Gargano rolled back into the middle of the ring. But Cole managed to give Gargano a bunch of elbows to his injured knee. It's the injured knee that Cole targeted early on in the match, and it was just plaguing Gargano throughout the rest of the thing. At one point, Cole went for the Panama Sunrise again. Gargano tried to avoid it, but then when he tried to stand up, his knee gave out, so he was down. And then Cole goes right back up, hits the Panama Sunrise, and then immediately hits him with the last shot knee strike and gets the win. Adam Cole, baby, couldn't resist, is now the new NXT champion. Once again, for Johnny Gargano, that is, in his first defense of a championship, he loses. Happened with the tag team titles with him and Ciampa. Happened with the North American Championship. He lost it to Velveteen Dream in his first title defense. And now, once again here, he defends the NXT Championship for the first time and loses it to Adam. Or maybe he defended it against Roderick Strong. I don't know. But either way, he lost in his first major championship defense. But despite that, I'm still very happy to see Adam Cole with the championship. I figured when Roddy lost at the beginning of the show, and then O'Reilly and Fish, they lost. I'm like, okay, clearly the Undisputed, unless they're just gonna break them all up or they're all getting called up to the main roster and this is all of their last night, there's no way that Adam Cole is losing. And there was a few spots in there where I thought it was going to happen, but no, Adam Cole pulled out the win. And of course, after the match, the rest of the Undisputed Era came out to celebrate with them, held them up on their shoulders. Bobby Fish was in a sling, in an arm sling, so I don't know if he re-injured his arm in that ladder match or if he was just kind of selling it like he was still here. I don't really know, but he had a sling on, so he didn't really lift Cole up, but he was still out there for the celebration. So the Undisputed Era has added yet another championship to their arsenal, the NXT Championship, courtesy of Adam Cole. So a great ending to a fantastic match, to a fantastic NXT Takeover event. The 25th Takeover, I think I've reviewed all but a couple Takeover shows. I've pretty much reviewed every single Takeover show, at least the ones that I've watched personally. Or the night of that they aired. Some of the other ones that I haven't reviewed is probably because I didn't watch them until like the next day or something like that. But yeah, I've seen them all. I've seen every single Takeover show, that's for damn sure. And I've loved all of them, some more than others, and this one ranks up there as one of my favorites. That makes 2 in a row that are just absolutely fantastic. Maybe 3. I think Takeover Phoenix back in January was really good too. So all the Takeover shows this year have been tremendous. So I'm looking forward to seeing where they go from here for Takeover Toronto in August for SummerSlam weekend. Yeah, this was a rare occasion where Takeover went unopposed. It was just Takeover, and there's no pay-per-view tomorrow night, thank God. We do have the WrestleMania equivalent show in Saudi Arabia this Friday, Super Showdown, aka Saudi Blood Money Show 3, with Goldberg and The Undertaker in the main event. Lord help us. But yeah, so there's that. But no, I really liked this show. Really loved this show. Excellent from top to bottom. And I'm looking forward to the next Takeover show. We got 25 down. I'm looking forward to 25 more. So thank you for listening. Next time I'm going to be on here, I'm not sure what I'm going to be talking about. I hope it's not Super Showdown, but it might be. If it's as crazy as the other Saudi show, I might do it. But that's about it for me. Hope you all take care. Have a great week. Good luck getting through Monday Night Raw and all that shit this week. And I'll talk to you guys later.